What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and to another tips video for Star Wars Battlefront 2. We've got two new heroes in the game. BB-8 and BB-9E are now playable in Battlefront 2, and they're actually really fun. They're surprisingly smooth, with unique playstyles, and both are deceptively strong. In today's video, we're going over everything you need to know about these new droids, from what their abilities do, ideal star card setups, and we're even going to explore some secrets about them that you may not have noticed at first. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and getting notified for updates on Battlefront and more tips videos like this. We're going to roll right into it. We'll first break down the two new heroes, going over their abilities, their star cards, and their individual playstyles and how you should use them, and then we'll go over some general tips and secrets that apply to both. The light side is up first, so we're starting with BB-8. As the more offensive of the two, BB-8 is all about getting in close and doing a lot of damage quickly, and then getting out of there before he takes too much damage himself. He's best played against large groups of infantry where he can tie them up and get big multi-kills with his abilities. BB-8's primary weapon is his shock prod, which simply deals 29 base damage per hit, but can chain consecutive hits as long as your target is within the shock's radius. This weapon runs off of stamina, but you can think of it like the shock's battery, or charge. Like most other heroes, he has three abilities. Resistance Backing is a scan-type ability that reveals enemies to you and your teammates and scrambles their radar. It also makes revealed enemies take 10.5% more damage from you and your teammates. This ability is great by itself and is a really good asset for your team, but it's most useful when comboed with his other two abilities to boost their damage. Cable Spin is his bread and butter. It's the ability that you'll use most for the big multi-kills and doing high damage in an area of effect, both of which can be increased with star cards. BB-8 deploys his cables and whips them around him in a medium-sized circle. Any target in that circle will take 50 damage every half of a second. This makes it perfect for infantry multi-kills, but it's also good for doing steady damage to enemy villains. This ability does slow BB-8's movement, so you have the option to cancel it early if you need to make an escape. Keep in mind that it can also be blocked by enemy lightsabers. His third ability is called Rolling Charge. BB-8 simply puts his head down and charges forward a short distance, damaging anyone in his path. What makes this ability so handy though is that it's a one-shot kill to all enemy infantry and it knocks down anyone it hits. If a lightsaber villain is blocking when BB-8 hits them with the charge, they will still take the damage but they won't be knocked down, they'll just stagger for a bit. This ability also gives BB-8 a small boost of speed too, so in a dire situation it can be used to make a quick getaway. It deals 200 base damage to all infantry and reinforcements, and 150 damage to enemy villains. And just like with Cable Spin, you can maximize the damage output with star cards. BB-8 also has three passive abilities. These are Health on Elimination, which grants him 20 health back with each trooper kill and 100 for heroes. Technical Support, which makes him count as 2 units when capturing command posts and lets him activate objectives faster, and Swift Reaction, which passively increases the cooldown speeds for friendly units around him. All of this makes BB-8 way more dangerous than one might give him credit for, but his star cards are really what lets him shine. We'll go over a few good combinations for different scenarios. Whirlwind, Spinner, and Roll Together is an offensive build that focuses on Cable Spin. It increases the damage and range of Cable Spin while lowering its cooldown so you can use it again as soon as possible. You can swap out Roll Together for Uncover if you'd like even more damage instead of a slightly shorter cooldown. If you want to play a more team support role, Trusty Droid is another card to consider. This build is good for co-op and the large scale modes where you'll be fighting a lot of infantry, but for the hero modes, something a little different would work better. Head first, Whirlwind and Spared Batteries is a more ideal build for heroes versus villains, since it focuses on giving BB-8 maximum damage output. Rolling Charge and Cable Spin do higher damage, and the more damage you do to enemy villains, the stronger his shock prod becomes. Sticking with another high damage hero like Anakin or Han is a good idea, since you can support them and overwhelm a target you team up on. In any mode though, BB-8 is best played fast and aggressively, using his speed to get to teammates who need backup. Getting knockdowns with Rolling Charge and saving Cable Spin for grouped up enemies are all effective BB-8 plays. Now we're on to BB-9E, the newest villain and droid counterpart for the dark side. While BB-8 is more offensively oriented, BB-9E is way more focused on support for his teammates and providing them with the tools for success, rather than getting all the glory for himself. Just like BB-8 though, he also has a shock prod for a primary weapon, which is a bit weaker at 24 damage per hit, but 9E can stun his targets with his, making his shock prod arguably the better of the two. Once boosted with star cards, it can actually become a pretty formidable close-range weapon for taking out infantry. His three abilities are Smokescreen, Shock Spin, and Charge Up. Smokescreen is a really useful scan ability that also disorients enemies by emitting a thick cloud of smoke that blocks enemy vision, blocks out player names and health bars, and reveals enemies to you and teammates in the field and on radar. What makes this one different from other smoke abilities in the game though, is that this one does not cancel out lightsaber lock-ons. BB-9E is still vulnerable to sabers during this ability. Shock Spin is a similar ability to Cable Spin, except with less focus on damage and more focus on crowd control. It knocks back any targets in range, and targets a little further away will also have their blasters overheat. It deals an initial 90 damage when activated, and tacks on an extra 30 damage every 1 second after that to targets who stay in the ability's radius, for a total of 300 damage. With star cards, this can be increased, so the ability could be used more offensively just like Cable Spin. Also, despite looking like it can't, Shock Spin can in fact be blocked by lightsabers. His third ability, Charge Up, is a full-on team support ability that stops your shock prod and your nearby teammates' blasters from building heat while it's active. Nearby teammates will also have their abilities cool down faster, so this ability is best suited for when your team is making that big push for the objective and they need maximum firepower. While his abilities are all unique, two of his passives are actually shared with his counterpart, BB-8. Both droids have health on elimination and technical support, but BB-9E's third passive is called Back to Support, where he passively heals his teammates who are in range. All of this together makes BB-9E the much-needed support character the dark side has been lacking. Bacta heals his friends, Smokescreen protects himself while making enemies vulnerable, and Charge Up lets him and his friends fire non-stop. He can support a lightsaber villain by stunning their targets for them, and in a worst-case scenario, he can clear an area with Shock Spin and then make an escape. Ideal star cards for 9E are Full Reconstruction, Linked Systems, and Faster. This build increases his damage output for his primary weapon and Shock Spin, as well as letting him get more health back after taking some hits. For a more support-oriented build, you can run ICU, Supercharged, and Potent Bacta. This build makes enemies revealed with the smoke stay revealed longer while increasing the radius of Charge Up and Bacta support, giving his team as many buffs and perks as possible to help them out. BB-9E isn't as offensive as BB-8, but he's just as dangerous when played like the support hero he's meant to be. Now that we've covered both droids, let's move on to some more general tips and secrets about them that make them most effective. First, obviously, their speed is one of their biggest advantages. They're faster than most units in Battlefront 2, so you want to constantly be on the move. Both droids have a fast rolling speed comparable to a Force user sprinting, and they can jump and dodge. Their dodge has a pretty large window of invulnerability too. Movement is really important in Battlefront 2, and both BB-8 and BB-9E have really good movement, which gives them an advantage. Unlike other heroes, these droids also have a natural defense against ragdoll effects and knockdown abilities. Since they're ball-shaped, they're able to immediately recover from knockdowns and dodge away to safety. This is a game changer, since the knockdowns are a really strong effect. It's good having a defense against it. This can let you get away from Darth Vader's choke and Anakin's pull dominance, which isn't exactly something other heroes can do. Now, these next few tips involve your primary weapon. When using the shock prod with either droid, you want to treat it like Palpatine's lightning. Just hold the attack button down. Rapidly tapping the button will actually drain your stamina very quickly, so just don't do it. Keep in mind though that holding down the attack and block buttons together will not result in bonus damage, like with Palps. That's exclusive just for him. The shock prod may seem weak, but both droids do have a star card that can increase its damage if you're trying to be more offensive with it. Also, when attacking a target up close with the prod, Try jumping while attacking. This has a double effect. It makes you a much harder target to hit while you're in close range, and it lets you move faster when using the prod. Your movement slows to a walking speed when attacking with the shock, so jumping lets you maintain a faster speed and get your damage off at the same time. A fun tip to note is that the shock prod does in fact go through enemy shields, as does cable spin and shock spin, so don't be afraid of shields when fighting. BB-8's shock is also able to go through General Grievous's unrelenting advance. The last thing to bring up is their flashlight. Some maps in Battlefront can get pretty dark in spots, or if it's a nighttime variant. The two droids have flashlights that they can activate to help them see in these situations, which can be turned on and off using the melee button. These lights can be kept on during emotes for some pretty cool effects. These droids may have been a bit of a controversial topic before they launched, but now that they're here, they've definitely turned out to be a pleasant surprise. I hope these tips helped you to understand them a little bit better and gave you some ideas on how they should be played. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and once again, consider subscribing if you're new for more Battlefront 2 tips and news updates. That's it for this one though. I appreciate you stopping by the bazaar, and I will see you all out on the battlefront. Peace.